Okay, welcome to our Erev Shabbat Perashat class, special edition, Perashat Vayese. The only time ever recorded in the Chumash, in the Torah Shebichtav. The only time we've ever had a nibu'ah posed and formed and presented only as a mashal, an analogy, a symbol, a metaphor. It has occurred in other forms. There's been different presentations of prophecies. Abraham Abinu, of course, had the Brit Ben HaBetarim, where he was shown and had to perform the sacrifice, the fire between the halves of the animals. However, his was a direct message. There was a very clear prophetic message given to Abraham Abinu, where we spoke about the exile, impending exile, and future exiles of his children. There have been other creative prophecies, but only this one in our parasha is one in which the message is not seemingly given. The reason for the symbolism is not revealed. The metaphor is not elaborated upon. I'm talking, of course, about the famous dream to Yaakov Abinu of the ladder. And of course, it was given to Yaakov. Yaakov to us is the Av, is the father, is the patriarch of exile. Even though Yosef HaSadiq spent most of his life in another country in exile, we'll call him more the figure of survival. But Yaakov had travels. He moved back and forth. He sojourned from Eretz Yisrael, where he spent over 40% of his life outside. He was thrust outside into exile, into Haran for 22 years, back to Eretz Yisrael, and then towards the end of his life, back to Mitzrayim. And the latter two of those three expeditions were with his entire family. So Yaakov, the father of exile, is shown the dream, the nivu'ah, the prophecy of analogy, of metaphor. And let's look at that for a moment. Of course, we understand in simplistic view, there's not much to describe. He saw a sulam musab arsa. He saw a ladder situated on the ground. V'rosho magia shamayma, going heavenly bound. V'hinei malachei Elohim olim v'yoredim bo, angels of God ascending and descending this ladder. Probably, no, I'll say definitely, the most discussed episode in this parasha of any speeches and sermons and classes given throughout the globe in the Jewish world. But the truth is, even the mashal, the analogy itself, is very enigmatic. These angels, what function are they performing? They're going up and down. What are they doing exactly? This ladder is on the ground, which all ladders seemingly stand on the ground and go upwards. There doesn't seem to be, at first glance, too much depth. And the message given to him when God is, so to speak, nisav alav, standing on top of the ladder, is a message of course, protection. It's a message of promise of the land. But the message does not depend upon the analogy. God could have just appeared to Yaakov, the prophet, and given him that message that the promise of the land is being passed on to you, that the guarantee of security and the return to this land is being given to you, without the analogy, the picture, the symbol of the ladder. What's it doing there? So in order to understand, we have to retreat towards the beginning of the parasha, where Yaakov Abinu leaves Eretz Yisrael, Vayelech Harana, goes to Haran. And the words of the Torah are, Vayifga b'makom, and he was encountered with the place. Ba, with a kamas underneath, stands for beha, the. It's a definite article, the known place. He encountered the place. Vayalin sham, he slept there. Ki ba hashemesh, because the sun was coming. An interesting way to say that it's getting dark. Vayikach me'abnei hamakom, there's the word again, the place. He took from the stones of the place. Vayasem mera ashotav, he put it underneath his head. Vayishkab b'makom hahu. And there again, the place, 3 times in the same pasuk, the makom, the place, he slept. Seems to be a lot to do about nothing. He just went to sleep. He just took a nap. That's all it really says. And then Vayahalom, and the ensuing prophecy, with many prophecies, of course, are in the form of a dream. This was a prophecy, and the analogy of the ladder. Let's analyze some of the terminologies, and we'll get a good picture of Yaakov, what his life predicament was vis-a-vis himself personally, and Am Yisrael in the future at large. And then we'll move in to the prophecy of the ladder. So it says, Vayifga b'makom. The Midrash Rabbah tells us, Yekesh la'avor v'na'aseh ha'olam kulo kimin kote lefanav. Yaakov wanted to leave. He wanted to move on. He wanted to pass. He was going on the road. He is exiting Eretz Yisrael and traveling on his journey to Haran. But he wanted to, and says the Midrash, the world became in front of him like a wall. And the words then, Vayifga b'makom, he encountered the place, is an image and an idea of Yaakov hitting the wall. There's a brick wall behind me, smack to the brick wall, as if he wasn't ready for it. What was that? He was shocked. He encountered something that impeded his path. Vayifga b'makom. And that was, on one hand, a very personal struggle. But let's see how that develops in the following words. Vayalen sham. She slept. Well, everyone goes to sleep at night. Ki ba hashemesh, because the sun was going down. But again, unusual. Ki ba hashemesh. It means that there was an absence of light. There's darkness. There's an absence of light. He feels darkness. There's something dark in his world, and he needs to sleep. What does that mean? So let's talk about what Yaakov just experienced. He left the comfort of his home. He left the surroundings of Yitzhak Abinu's estate. He had everything he wanted. He had sustenance. He had protection, security. He had the incredible model of Yitzhak, education. He had spirituality. He was each time Yoshev Ahalim. He philosophized, he meditated, he spoke, he learned, he taught, he was with God. Life was wonderful. Life was easy. And if he wanted to continue there, his parents would have made a bazara, he would have had a nice wife, children, it's gone on. He would have lived the dream. He was living the dream. He leaves Eretz Yisrael, and suddenly he's faced with, on a personal level, the fact that I need to survive. So first of all, how do I sustain myself? How do I support myself? There's no one around me anymore. There's no one providing anymore. I'm by myself. I need to find a wife, establish a home. I'm in the middle of nowhere. I need to keep a connection to God. I'm a prophet. I need to continue my personal growth, but I have no one around me to influence me. There's no wholesome environment anymore. I am a loner, and I am one who is on the path of exile to a foreign land. I have zero. I am void of everything. You know what that brick wall that he hit was? Life, real life. And Yaakov felt insecure. He felt that there was a need for guidance. And Vayalen Sham. Vayalen Sham is a request, is Yaakov's way of seeking communication with God. On a national level, we can step back for a moment. We know we know that whatever the forefathers did is a symbol and sign of things to come in the national history of their descendants, us, Am Yisrael. And he left Israel. Kibah Shemesh. It was getting dark, the darkness of exile. And he realized that his children would be exiled from their land more than once. And that's very dark. difficult. He experienced a little bit of what his grandfather did in the prophecy of Rabbi ben Habetarim, where he saw Ema Hashecha Gedola Nofilet Ala, an awesome dark fear falling upon him, which the Midrash tells us is the 4 exiles. And he felt and saw it all, Abraham Avinu, all the impending tragedy and oppression to befall his people. Yaakov got a taste of that. Kiba Shemesh, the sun's going down, there's darkness, I'm going into exile. Vayivgad b'makom, he was smacked with the reality of the difficult future of his children, of his descendants. And again, on a national level, he was in need of a message. And therefore, he entered into the sleep, almost requesting that prophecy, requesting that dream. And he almost wanted to dream. Not almost, he did want to dream. Because dreams are surreal. In a dream is everything that you could experience without experiencing it. So you can dive into a dream with no risk. You don't have to be the dream. You can just see the dream. In a dream is where you have ambitions and you have fears. It's everything that you want to be. And at the same time, it's everything that you're dreading and you fear happening to you. It's all there. I can see it and experience it in a dream, become fulfilled, and then react to the dream. I need that. He took a stone. A stone, there's all types of midrashim of the symbolism of that stone. But as Sforno said, he might have just stopped at a hotel and there were beds of stone outside. But the real point is that stone was his support. That was his security blanket. Entering in to this prophecy, expecting the symbolism, expecting the message that came in the form of a mashal, of an analogy. And let's look at that message. That ladder is an explosive ladder. There are so many different interpretations of what was going on. It's situated on the ground, it's going to heaven. But what are those angels ascending and descending? There's one midrash that tells us, Midrash Rabbi, that it symbolized the Mizbeach. And the angels going up and down are the Kohanim, ascending and descending the ramp, going up to the Mizbeach. And the heavenly ascent is the pillar of smoke that went up to heavens from the altar, from the Mizbeach, and the constant pillar of fire that was always on it. There's another Midrash Rabbah also, that speaks of it being analogous to Har Sinai. And it was Moshe and Aharon, the angels, ascending Mount Sinai. Of course, getting their message of the Torah. And that is the on top, the ascending to the heavens, the imagery of the darkness and the fire and the cloud, etc., on top of the mountain. There's a Midrash that says that there was also symbolism in the rising and falling of the angels and the rising and falling of the 4 kingdoms that were to be the 4 exiles in the history of the Jewish people. And the Ramban speaks of the idea that the Malachim were simply messengers of earth, carrying to heaven the message from earth and then back down to earth from heaven. All of that power and that symbol of the ladder. But when it comes down to it, whether on a personal level or on a national level, there was really a single message being given to Yaakov Abinu to calm his fears, to quell his anxiety. And that is, it's Musav Arsa. It's situated on the ground. Everything starts from you, from earth, from where you stand, and everything afterwards ascends to heaven. And as the Malachim attest to, on a personal level, you must know that it's all triggered from you. There's action, there's reaction, there's cause and effect. If you do something and you hit the bell, it ascends afterwards and ding, 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 hits the heavens. If you want to know what's going to happen to you in your life, well, then you act and you be the master of your own destiny. And then that message will be reacted to by heaven. And the angels leave you and go up to heaven and say, hey, look what this guy's doing. and they come back down, they react. Well, that's the consequence of what this guy does. Reward, punishment, what type of hashgaha, what type of divine involvement will be in this person's life. Everything that you do down here not only counts, but has an impact up there. Everything that will happen to you afterwards is the reaction of HaKadosh Baruch Hu to your actions in this world. Musav Arsa, it's situated firmly on the ground. Rosho Magia Shamayim. And then Shamayim reacts to what you do. And the Malachim up and down bring it. Now, of course, on a personal level, the symbolism is very meaningful. Perhaps the Midrash of the altar, Mizbeach, refers to Avodat Hashem, service of God. And the analogy of Har Sinai has to do with Limud Torah on a personal level. How much you engage and invest in your life in worshiping God and studying Torah, etc. The four kingdoms, in terms of how you react with your nation and are involved in Ma'asim Tovim, all in the expectations of someone's personal life. The bottom line, Yaakov Abinu, if you're worried, well, what are you worried about? Do something about it. You got to make a living. You got to get married. You got to have protection. You have to have a wholesome environment. You have to experience self-growth. Fine. Do it. Do it. Hineh Adonai nisab alav. Whatever you do, first of all, I am there. My intervention, my hashgaha, it's all me in the background. But second of all, in terms of where that will get you, it depends on what you do. And we'll react to it up here in heaven. And there'll be a cause and effect. And you will be the master of your own destiny in life. There's nothing to fear, but fear itself, because you really craft your own fate. On a national level, it's very similar. The message is, yes, the sun will go down. There will be exile. And your people are going to have to, unfortunately, go through and absorb difficult history. But first of all, there is a Mizbeach. There's an altar. There's going to be a Bet HaMikdash. There's a Har Sinai. There's a Torah. It's something that you have, you embrace. The Mizbeach, you'll lose. You can get back again. Aspire to it. You have everything that you need. You have the Torah, Kadosha Am Yisrael. You have the relationship with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It's completely up to you. Nisav alav, you're situated on the ground. You, as a nation, will determine your destiny. And whatever happens afterwards, we'll react to heaven. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the Bedin Shel Ma'ala. How quickly you bring Mashiach. How quickly you exit from this exile. How expeditiously you're able to bring on the Geulah Shelema. It's completely up to you. Yaakov Abinu asked for a premonition. He begged Vayalin Sham for a message. He felt that brick wall, and he needed guidance for himself personally, but all the more so for his future nation. And he entered into the surreal, the world of dream. And God said in an enigmatic way, I'm not going to give all the answers to you. I'm going to give it in a mashal, an analogy, and a metaphor. There's so much in there. There's so much you can take from it. And I want you to take everything from this metaphor, this symbol that I'm presenting to you. But in simplicity, with all the messages and all the symbolisms, both personally and nationally, the bottom line is the same. Musav Arsa, it's up to you. Magia Hashamayma, afterwards the reaction comes from Hashem. I am there for you, but you will definitely be the master of your own fate. You as a person and you as a nation will determine your own destiny. Am Yisrael. Yaakov Avinu, you could wake up and you could move on with life. Amen. Amen. Shabbat Shalom.